Supreme Court on Friday also dismissed a batch of pleas seeking court-monitored SIT probe into the instance of quid pro quo in electoral bonds. The PIL filed by NGO Common Cause and the Centre for Public Interest Litigation alleged an apparent quid pro quo between political parties, corporations and investigative agencies. Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said, and I quote, "The petitions were founded on assumption that there is a prima facie element of quid pro quo by the date of EB purchase and contracts. There is an involvement of certain officials of the investigation agency, as consequence of which an investigation by normal process of law was not fair." He further said, and I quote, "For the above reason, we are of the considerate view that constitution of an SIT headed by former judge of this court should not be ordered in the face of remedies which are available under the law governing criminal procedures." Terming the electoral bond as a scam, the plea had sought a direction to the authorities, or of the authorities rather, to investigate the source of funding of all shell companies and loss-making companies which made donations to various political parties, has been disclosed, remember, by Election Commission earlier. The petition also sought a direction to the authorities to recover the money donated by companies as a part of quid pro quo arrangements where they found proceeds of crime. In February this year, Supreme Court had struck down electoral bond scheme which allowed for anonymous funding to political parties and ordered SIB to stop issuing electoral bonds immediately. There is a court order now which is not going to further look into electoral bonds, Ashok. So essentially, I think the matter of electoral bonds, which many thought would come to rest when SBI was told not to offer any more electoral bonds, to disclose the list of entities who've donated money to electoral bonds, has come to rest?
Not really. This is just the beginning of troubles that a lot of political parties and corporate houses are going to face in future.
Okay.
Now, today, what the court has said is that simply that on the basis of they are basically dealing with a clutch of petitions which are seeking an SIT probe into the relationship between the donor and the recipient. The donor is a corporate house and the recipient is a political party, because what is being established is that there was some kind of a quid pro quo relationship between the donor and the recipient. Now, there have been many instances which were pointed out to the court that where a big corporate company purchased electoral bonds and just a few months later a big contract was awarded to that company. Then there have been also instances where there have been individuals and companies against whom investigations were going on. They purchase electoral bonds and the investigation comes to a halt. And similar other substances, accusations were made in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, look, we agree with the accusations that you are making. We are not going to say anything about it. But at the same time, we cannot order a roving inquiry on the basis of the assumptions that you are making before us. And secondly, that there is a process of law where you can file an FIR, seek an investigation by police. When you have not exhausted that option, you just cannot come straight away to the Supreme Court and demand a constitution of an SIT. So until and unless those avenues or those options are exhausted, do not come to the Supreme Court of India. So what I believe is from here on, what is going to happen is that there are many complaints which are going to be filed and FIRs which will also be filed with the CBI, ED and income tax authorities to probe these allegations of quid pro quo. And if those investigating agencies do not probe within a time period, within a stipulated time period, say 3 months, 6 months, these petitions will be revived again in the Supreme Court, saying that, look, we tried to explore
legal avenues,
but these authorities are not acting. So, as a last recourse, we want you now to constitute an SIT. And that's why I say it's just the beginning.
Just the start of the beginning, as far as the SIT probe into the matter of electoral bonds is concerned. For now, there will be no SIT, but we don't know for a fact in future.